Snow fell quietly over the glass walls of the tall building that overlooked the city. Inside, the office was dark except for the faint golden glow of a single lamp. Behind that light sat Ethan Graves, a man the world called unshakable. CEO of Graves International, a billion-dollar empire built from his relentless ambition and sleepless nights. Yet, tonight, as the city shimmered with Christmas lights, he felt like a ghost staring through a window of a life he no longer belonged to. The silence in his penthouse office was so heavy that it seemed to echo back every memory he'd tried to bury. Christmas, once his favorite time of year, had become a haunting reminder of everything he'd lost. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small miracles, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Echoes of Kindness right now. Because what happens next might just restore your faith in humanity. For Ethan, Christmas used to mean laughter. His parents would bake gingerbread cookies in their small home, the scent filling every corner. But that was decades ago, before ambition took him away from warmth and toward wealth. Success had become his only comfort, but even that felt cold now. 2 years ago, his wife, Clara, had died unexpectedly. They'd been married for 8 years, a woman who had loved him through his silences, his long nights, and his flaws. After her passing, Ethan buried himself in work, convincing himself that the company was all he had left. Friends drifted away, and his family had stopped calling. Everyone assumed the great Ethan Graves was fine. He wasn't. On this Christmas Eve, the city outside was alive with carolers, lights, and laughter. But Ethan sat alone at his massive mahogany desk, staring at a framed photo of Clara smiling under the Christmas tree they'd decorated together 5 years ago. Her eyes in the photo still sparkled with that same kindness that once healed him. He whispered her name softly, his voice cracking. "You'd hate to see me like this, Clara." He pushed the frame away and stood, rubbing his temples. His driver had begged him to go home early, but what was home anymore? His penthouse was a museum of memories, empty halls, untouched furniture, and the faint smell of her favorite vanilla candles long gone. He decided to leave the office for a walk, something he hadn't done in years. The streets were lined with families shopping, children giggling, couples holding hands. The snow crunched under his shoes as he passed a small park where a community Christmas event was winding down. He noticed a small cardboard sign near a wooden bench, written in a child's handwriting, "Free cookies for Santa, and anyone who's lonely." He almost smiled at the innocence of it. There was a small table with 3 empty paper plates and a few crumbs left behind. The sight of it tugged at something inside him, a memory of Clara handing out cookies at a charity drive years ago. He turned to leave when he noticed an envelope stuck beneath one of the plates. It was a bit wet from the snow, the edges curled. On it, in messy crayon letters, were the words, "To the lonely man we saw." Ethan frowned, looking around, but no one was there. He hesitated, then carefully opened the letter. Inside, written in shaky handwriting on pink paper, were the words that would begin to change his life. "Dear Mister, we saw you sitting alone and you looked very sad. Our mommy says everyone deserves kindness, even if they look scary or rich. We don't have much, but we wanted to give you our cookies. Mommy says we're triplets, so you get 3 hugs from us even if we can't find you. We hope you smile again soon. Merry Christmas. Love, Ava, Mia, and Grace, and Mommy." Ethan stood frozen, the letter trembling in his hand. He looked around again, half expecting to see the children. But the park was empty except for a flickering street lamp and a few stray snowflakes dancing in the air. Something inside him broke open. He folded the letter carefully and tucked it into his coat. For the first time in years, he didn't want to go back to his empty home. He followed the address written in the corner of the letter, a small apartment complex a few blocks away. The building was old, with peeling paint and broken Christmas lights hanging loosely on the balconies. He hesitated before knocking. When the door opened, a tired-looking woman appeared. Her hair was tied in a messy bun, and her eyes held a gentle exhaustion that only single mothers carry. "Can I help you?" she asked cautiously. Ethan cleared his throat. I found this letter in the park." He handed it to her. Recognition lit her eyes, followed by embarrassment. "Oh dear, the girls must have left it there again. I told them not to bother people." "No," Ethan interrupted softly, "it wasn't a bother." His voice cracked a little. "It meant more than you can imagine." The woman smiled shyly. "I'm Hannah, and those 3 troublemakers are Ava, Mia, and Grace. I'm sorry if they startled you. They just love helping people. Ethan looked past her and saw the girls peeking from behind the couch, identical little faces with wide, curious eyes. They whispered to each other, then ran up to the door. "You're the man from the park," one of them said. "Did you like our cookies?" He chuckled softly. "I didn't get to try them, but your letter was wonderful." "Mommy says words are hugs you can keep forever," another girl added proudly. That single line hit Ethan harder than any boardroom speech or financial report ever could. Hannah invited him in for tea, hesitant but kind. The apartment was small, but it radiated warmth. Paper snowflakes taped to the windows, handmade stockings, the faint sound of carols playing from an old radio. The triplets proudly showed him their Christmas crafts while Hannah poured him a cup of tea served in a mismatched mug. As he listened to them chatter, something inside him began to thaw. They asked him about his Christmas plans, and he admitted quietly, "I didn't have any." The girls gasped in disbelief. "But everyone should have Christmas plans," said Mia. "You can stay with us," added Grace, nodding seriously. Hannah laughed nervously, but Ethan smiled for the first time in years. That night, for reasons he couldn't explain, Ethan found himself sitting on a worn couch surrounded by laughter and warmth. The girls insisted he help decorate their tiny tree, which leaned slightly to one side. When one of the ornaments fell and shattered, the girls giggled uncontrollably, and even Ethan joined in. It was a simple, imperfect, beautiful moment, the kind of happiness money could never be. As the night grew late, Hannah looked at him softly. "You look like someone who's forgotten what home feels like," she said gently. Ethan swallowed hard. "Maybe I have." He left their apartment with a heart strangely lighter than it had been in years. When he reached his penthouse, the silence felt different now, not empty, but waiting. He pulled out the letter again and read it under the warm glow of the fireplace. For the first time, he didn't feel alone. Over the following days, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about that family. He sent gifts anonymously, a basket of food, toys, and a Christmas tree delivery note that simply read, "For the kindest hearts in the city." But he didn't sign his name. He didn't want gratitude, he wanted to give back quietly, just as they had given to him. Weeks later, he visited the park again. There, he found Hannah with her daughters feeding birds. She looked surprised but happy to see him. They talked for hours, and slowly, over months, a friendship grew. Hannah's kindness reminded him of Clara, gentle, genuine, and real. She didn't treat him like a CEO. She treated him like a person.